Welcome everybody. I am Stan Lennons. I am a SQL Server consultant for Kohera, and today I will be giving you a webinar on SQL Sentry. I'm first going to start off with telling you a bit about what I do for my day-to-day job. I usually have SQL Server projects like SQL Server consolidations and fixing SQL Server performance problems. And when I go and fix SQL Server performance problems, mostly one of the first things the client says when I arrive at the client, he says, well, my SQL Server is slow from time to time. And then they mostly ask a question, how can I see what is actually slowing down my SQL Server and how can I fix these problems? Mostly they don't have any monitoring solution installed, so we can't go and see what happened in the past. So I suggest them we install SQL Sentry because we can answer the questions which they are asking with SQL Sentry. Well, what will we see today? What we will talk about? Well, we'll talk about SQL Sentry and we'll talk about the various parts of SQL Sentry. We have the SQL Sentry Performance Advisor, the SQL Sentry Event Manager, and the SQL Sentry Fragmentation Manager. The Performance Advisor is your dashboard which you will use to monitor and analyze your SQL Server. You can see a dashboard with active information and you can go and look at different tabs like blocking SQL and stuff like that. The SQL Sentry Event Manager is like an agenda for your SQL Server. You can see which jobs are running at the moment, which batch statements are running at the moment. You can see when a batch job will start and stuff like that. And then in final, the SQL Sentry Fragmentation Manager will show you how your index fragmentation is handled at the moment. You can see which index is fragmented and we build it inside SQL Sentry. So we will start off with the SQL Sentry Performance Advisor. We'll go to my virtual machine, which you can see here. I have a virtual machine which is just a normal SQL Server instance. This is a SQL Server 2014 instance. As you can see here to the left, we have my actual server and we have an instance which is configured on our SQL Sentry client. I have a workload running on this SQL Server which is performing queries against our AdventureWorks database. So now let's go see what's going on this server in particular. We can select here the SQL Sentry Performance or the Event Manager. We're going to select the Performance Advisor to start off with. And we select the correct instance. We press go. Now we will see our current dashboard of our SQL Server. In SQL Sentry, this dashboard will show you the actual state of your SQL Sentry, of your SQL Server. So SQL Sentry will refresh the data every 15 seconds. So you can see practically everything what's going on at this given moment on your SQL Server. In the left top corner, you see what network activity is currently happening on your SQL Server. You can see that we have a lot of outs network, but we don't have any in network. You can see the many adapters which you have. We only have one here. Then you can see what's happening on your SQL Server. So you can see your SQL Server activity for this moment. You can see how many batches am I having, how many transactions am I having, how many compiles of plans am I having, how many recompiles. You can see how many user connections you have, how many VLOOKUPs are being made, how many forward recs, are any processes blocked, and you can see is there any backup running at this moment. Then you can see over here, you can see your CPU usage of your SQL Server. So you can check how is my CPU behaving at this given moment. You can see that we're here around 45% of our CPU, about 39% in total average. You can see what is my SQL Server at this moment waiting for. So at this given, on this SQL Server instance, we can see that my disk is a bit slow for my SQL Server. So you can see a lot of waits on our disks, a little bit on network I/O and a bit on our transaction log. Then you also have here the system memory and your SQL Server memory. So you can see how is my system memory divided across my different instances and my OS. So So you can see also how my SQL Server memory is divided. So you can see there's a part in buffer, we have a part which is free. You can see here the part is free. You see a part that's in our plan. And you can see here your page life expectancy. This isn't really high because I just booted this machine. And you can see here your cache hit ratio and your plan hit ratio. You can check are there any memory grants pending, and you can see how many pages are written and read from your memory. Then at the bottom you can check out your disk I/O, so you can see which disk is being written to and which has the highest latency. So we can see here on our total of all our disks we have a latency of 6 milliseconds read and 8 milliseconds write. But it's mainly the C drive which is the problem at the moment. Then if you go to the right, you can see your database I/O. So you can see the latency on your database files. So you can see we have a total latency on our database files from 10 milliseconds and 16 milliseconds write. But you can go and see per database, for every database. So you can see at our temdb, our temdev file 4, we have a write latency of about 25 milliseconds. And our AdventureWorks logs, we have a write latency of 2 milliseconds. So you can check it for every database. Okay, you can see above we have a few tabs here which you can get various information from. So we're going to start off with the disk activity. The disk activity just shows you what database is on which disk and what current activity is there on which disk. If it's green, you can say it's a good performance at this moment. You're just going to click now, for example, temdb. You get extra information in the bottom about your temdb. So you can see, for example, our AdventureWorks is over here. You can see that the size is about 265 megabytes on our data file, and our transactional file is 177 megabytes. And you can see what is there, what active, how many bytes are written, how many bytes are read if you have a very active server. But this is just a demo setup. Then we're going to continue to our disk space. You can see how your disk space is evolving across the time. So you can see over here we have our C drive and our E drive. My E drive is a flash drive, and my C drive is just a normal drive. If you go and check here, you can see our AdventureWorks database. You can check out, oh, that's the size at the moment. There's used 73%, so an auto-grow is not going to occur. So this makes you able to auto-grow your databases yourself and see if there's enough disk space. If there's not enough disk space, you can expand your disks by looking at this monitor and see, okay, the E drive only has 2 gigabytes left. You can expand it with about 10 gigabytes, for example. Also, something good to see here is you can have your backup times here. So you can see when was the last backup time taken. So you can see that some databases are not backed up at all. So we have to fix that problem. So we can have to take a backup from these databases. Then, if we return to the dashboard, this is the current view of our SQL Server. What if we say we have the problem, our SQL Sentry was slow the past hour? We can go and check our performance for the last hour. So we can put here time and then go, and then we get the performance of our SQL Server for the past hour. Let's say here was a big spike in SQL Server weights. You can just select this and zoom in, and then it will show you the performance data for that given moment. So you can see your activity, your amount of keylogs were pretty high here. You can see how your SQL Server memory was behaving. So you can get a lot of information and zoom into that information, so you can find the problems which were actually at that moment when you had the performance problem. So you don't have, you can go back in time and check what was going wrong at that given moment. Then also you have a statement, tab over here, Top SQL. And Top SQL will give you normally your queries. There isn't a query right now, but I will fire one off right now. This is a query which will get some blocking on my SQL Server. So this is just a query which will select from the person in our AdventureWorks database and hold the log on the table for 2 minutes. So we now go to our SQL Sentry. I go and get our actual data. In about a few seconds, we should see some blocked processes. And that's another tab over here. You can see our blocking SQL. And you can say jump to last block. And here you can see our wait for delay. So this is our current block which we are having right now. You can see we're here, that's our block. So these other statements are blocked by this statement. So if we're just going to cancel this query, we can fix our blocking processes. So we don't have any blocking processes anymore. That's a way of handling your SQL Server. You can see, oh, there's a blocked process. That's that query which is running too long. Is it necessary that this query is running? Is it part of a batch job? And so you can fix the problem you're having at that given moment. You can go and check out your different top SQL statements for like here. You can see I wanted to see the statements which started at 11 o'clock till 11:45 and all the big statements which were running at that moment. And you click the view plan. You can see what query was taking long and why it was taking long. So you get your query plan with it and your execution stats. You can see it took so many bytes, and it has statistics, it has code. You can get a lot of information here, and you also get your query plan with it. So you can see what is slowing down. So it's a sort operation. You can go and ask the application which the query was. Is this a slow sort operation and stuff like that. So you can easily monitor what's going on your SQL Server, see which queries are performing those, which are making your SQL Server perform badly, and fix those queries, or fix the memory issues, or fix the long-running transaction. So actually your performance dashboard is your main tool to check and analyze your total SQL Server. And with this you can find any problem which is on your SQL Server at the current moment, but also in a time frame. So you can go back in time and say, yesterday at 10 o'clock we had some problems. You can go and check the queries which are running at that moment, so you can see what was causing the problem at that moment. Okay, then the next part is the SQL Sentry Event Manager. As I already told, the SQL Sentry Event Manager is like the agenda of your SQL Server. As you know, on SQL Server you can write jobs and stuff like that, and you want to know when your jobs are failing, and you want to know why they are failing. Also, a good thing on SQL Sentry Event Manager is that you can see what long-running queries happened at what given time, so you don't have to use your performance dashboard and put your time frame. Now you just get an agenda which will show you when the query occurred, which was pretty slow. So let's go and check that out on my Hyper-V. We go back to our start page, and here you can see that we have the SQL Sentry Event Manager. We have the Kohera 2014 instance, and let's just open that up. As you can see, this is like a calendarized, this is a calendar which shows you what's happening on our SQL Server. You can see that we have a pretty active SQL Server over here. And here you can see what jobs are running at this moment. So you can see at 12 o'clock there will be a database logback. At 12 o'clock also the fragmentation of our SQL Server will be measured, but that's something I'll come back to later. And you can also see what heavy statements are running, because they're put in orange and in red, so you can see, okay, with that statement there was a problem, so you can go and check why was this statement slow. For example, if you now just want to check agent job, you can double click your agent job, you get your information when it will run, and you can get the description of the job So you can see this is from the Ola Hellingen script for your SQL Server backups and your index maintenance. And you can see the last runtime and you can see the next runtime. Now, if we go back to our event manager, you can say, oh, I want to have a log backup right now. You can just click here, start the job, yes, yes, and then it will, no, and then it will just start the job and it will take a log backup. And that's easy to just fire up a log backup job when you see that your transaction log is running full. Also here, if you want to go and check out your top SQL statement, which was performing badly, you can just double click it and then you get your SQL statement. So you can first get the statement in SQL, you can check your results, and then you can get your estimated plan and you can see, okay, we have a clustered index scan, maybe this index is performing badly, so we have to alter our index or we have to rebuild our index. So you can get a lot of information from the event manager by just double clicking the problem which you found. Another example is like this one. You get the query, you can find out, this was a sort operation which was too slow. So you can get a lot of information, you can monitor your information, and you can get your information for a day or 2 days or a week or a month, and you can always check it and recheck why my SQL Server was performing badly, and if you fix it, you can check it in your monitoring solution if it actually fixed this problem, or you just need another one. So that's the SQL Sentry Event Manager. We'll now continue with our next part. It's the Fragmentation Manager. The SQL Sentry Fragmentation Manager is the way SQL Sentry will handle your fragmentation of your indexes. So SQL Sentry will take care of your index fragmentation for you. And how you do that, I will show that now on my computer. So we had our Event Manager here. Now we're going to return to our Performance Dashboard. So I'm just going to show you how you open it. Like this, and you click go and you get this screen. Here you have a tab called Indexes, and here you can see all the indexes which are on my databases at this moment. So you can see we have a person database which has an average fragmentation of 0%, which is really good. If we go and see our fact reseller sales, we can see that we have about 90% of fragmentation at this moment. It's going to be rechecked from time to time so you can check how the evolution of my fragmentation was. You can also get information about what is good fragmentation and what is bad fragmentation. Everything above 30% is bad. Everything between 0 and 10% might need to be reorganized. But that's a choice you have to make. You can see the amount of space that's being used by your index, total amount that's in buffer at this moment. So you get a lot of information, but the best thing is, now you see this clustered index has a problem, you can just right click it, and you say defragment now, rebuild it online. This might take a long time, but it's an online rebuild, so it's no problem, our system won't be affected. So now we rebuild it online, this wouldn't take that long, and then just say analyze fragmentation, limited, yes. And then if we go and recheck this few seconds, normally the fragmentation should be gone. So here we have our product inventory. And if we wait just a few seconds, we can see here that our fragmentation is now 0%. So we can just rebuild our indexes in our Fragmentation Manager. We get a good and clear view of what's going on our SQL Server with their indexes. You can see per table, you can see, oh, we had a problem with that query. You go to your indexes dashboard, you just see, okay, that table, the index is fragmented, and you can defragment it in your SQL Sentry and fix the problem. Okay. That's your Index Fragmentation Manager. Then we also have a SQL Sentry Cloud. What is a SQL Sentry Cloud? Well, you can choose to send to sync your data, your performance data, to the cloud of SQL Sentry, and with this cloud you can check your performance anywhere you want. So if you just have a computer and a browser, you can go and check. Oh, okay, we have this problem at the moment. You can say the system engineer which is on duty, you have to do that and that, and the problem will be fixed. So I'm just going to show you how what it looks like. So now we go to our SQL Sentry cloud. I've been logged in, and you can see we have an owner, Stan. My company is Kohera. I have a SQL Server instance. It's the instance that we've been looking at this whole webinar. You can see our database. This is our SQL Sentry database, which will sync all data from our instances. This is an evaluation license and all sorts of info like that. Now, if you click the service status, you will open up this dashboard. Here you can see what's happening on my SQL Server at this moment. This is also an actual view, because this will sync every minute. You can see that we have a lot of latency on our disk. If you click this, you can see that we have a lot of latency on our disk. We have about 40 milliseconds of latency, which is caused by disk. Normally, this should be green. Since this isn't green, we can see that we have a problem, which is my slow disk in my Hyper-V setup. Then, over here you still also have your server details. If you click this, it will open something like this. And here you can see the target instance. You can see what's happening at the moment. You can see the number of procs running, the number of processors, processing time, kernel time, stuff like that, the context switches. This is like your monitoring dashboard, the dashboard which you saw at the beginning from the performance analysis, and this is an actual view as well. So you can see our usage of our memory. You can see how many reads and writes the disk we're having and stuff like that. You can just expand this. You can go deeper. So you can see, okay, we have our SQL Server Kohera 2014, and we can see we have a lot of IOPS here. Not a lot, but for my disk it's a lot of IOPS. You can just go deeper and deeper to see what problem are we having at this moment. And then you can just click something, so you can see your disk, and you can see what's the average wait time on my disk at this moment. And you can see that this is going to give you a history view. This is auto integrated, so you can just check at 10 a.m. I opened up my SQL Server, and then I started it, and it was good for a while, and then I started doing my workload, and you can see that my disk latency is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So you can see that the problem started about 11:15. So you can see, oh, it's disk latency. Is there a heavy query which is just selecting too much data or stuff like that? So in the cloud you can check out a lot of stuff just by going to the site cloud.sequelcentry.com, logging in, and you can see a lot everything what's going on your SQL Server. Okay. Now the final part, since we only have 2 minutes left, I'll make it quick, is our Power BI integration. You can now look at your Power BI dashboard for your SQL Sentry data, and you can ask questions to it. I really think this is a nice tool because with your Power BI integration, you can take your mobile device, just log into your Power BI account, and check out what's happening on my SQL Server at the moment. They're calling me, we have a problem on our SQL Server. I just can go take my phone, check, okay, it's that problem, you have to do that. So that's a really good integration, which makes it easy for you to find your performance at any time you want. So let's go and check how this is built for SQL Server. So I have a Power BI integration here. And here you can see this is my Power BI and I have Sentry. So let's just say I want to see all my servers. You can see here you get all your servers with their memory range, their Windows version, default site, their processor name. Let's say I want my memory, server's memory. So I get the range of my memories, but if I just go back like that, memory, yes. I can see, this is the memory per server, so I can get a lot of information very quickly. So I can get this on my mobile phone. That's the good thing. So I can just analyze performance anywhere where I am. Okay. Then we will conclude our SQL Sentry. Oh, I forgot to show it. It looks like this. So back to our Power BI. You can see here, if I want to see all my servers, and just click servers in my Power BI dashboard, and I can see it's about my memory range, my Windows version, my site name, and stuff like that. Let's just say I want to see what memory, how it's dispensed. You can just click on memory and just show what memory is on the server, how much visible memory, and stuff like that. So this is a really cool tool to actually view your SQL Server performance anywhere you want. So let's go back to our SQL Sentry. So this concludes the webinar on SQL Sentry. We will have another webinar for 2015. It's called Datazen Mobile BI with Nico Verbane. This will be the 3rd of December. For more info, you can go to www.kohera.de/webinars, and you can also check a replay from this blog or from this webinar or another webinar on our blog or on our YouTube channel. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them right now. And if you have any questions later, you can go contact us at Kohera NV by phone or on our website or stuff like that. Thanks for listening, guys.